What's up, guys? This is Ashton Spooner. We're right here in Santa Monica, California, getting ready to talk about something really important with my special guest, Deep. And we're really about to go deep in this segment. So guys, if you want to hit that like button, that subscribe button, do that for me, and also that notification bell. Stay tuned. So what's up, man? What's up, Deep? It's good to see you, dude.
Good to see you, man.
I'm so glad you're doing this with me.
I'm happy to be here.
This is making me so excited because we're about to touch on some subjects that I wanted to talk about for a long time. We both have a strong chemistry in terms of our histories. You are a musician, a singer, a producer, you've written, but you're also a writer who's an author. And if I'm correct, this book is called Fall Back to Step Up?
That's what it's called.
There we go.
That's what they told me.
And that book is out right now, right?
It's out right now, Fall Back to Step Up. I'm actually getting ready to release the audio book, so we're going up.
I can't wait to hear it.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited that you're here. Thank you for bringing your presence to this segment. During this segment, we've been talking about men's mental health, vulnerability, hitting on a lot of topics that are affecting men in the entertainment industry specifically. During these segments, we wanted to really hit on some of the things that are affecting us as far as artists are concerned, actors, producers, singers, writers, things that specifically affect us as artists. Mental health is affecting us in a volume of ways. From your perspective, I wanted to hit on, before we get into some of your accolades and some of your work, what do you feel is going on in the industry, entertainment world, when it comes down to mental health? What do you think is going on?
Well, I think, first of all, across the world, anytime we associate work or, a means to provide for ourselves or our families, we don't consider our mental health. Yeah. I think what's tricky about the entertainment industry specifically is the brand doesn't get to be disassociated with our reality. Okay. So if you work at a Target or you work there's a product that you're selling, and this is just the job, you get to leave those rules and regulations at home. Mm-hmm. You get to leave that expectation, how you feel about that you get to leave that. Okay. Separate that from the workplace. The home is here, you have your workplace over here. In the entertainment industry, we're charged to create a reality. Wow. That's a false reality. Yeah. And a lot of times we don't do the due diligence to prepare ourselves for becoming a brand all the time. Mm. So now there's an expectation of who we are versus the role that we've accepted, the song that we've released, or any of those things. And here's the other side of it. We're not even deciding what those characters, roles, or things are supposed to be. Yeah. They're kind of told to us by a script, okay, a casting director, and oftentimes it has nothing to do with our reality. So imagine, you're in a constant cycle that you're always on, you're always hoping to get chose, yeah, you're always looking for that next moment, and you understand that there has to be a certain amount of acquiescing, yes, to something that may not even resonate within your soul, your psyche, your values, that you have to become day in and day out, all the time, in order to be successful. You kind of lose yourself in that. I don't think we're prepared for that.
Those are some good points, Deep, because I was just talking in a previous segment about some of the things that people don't have a spiritual foundation to hold them up in the entertainment world. Yeah. And so much is coming at us. There's so many vices and things spiritually and mentally that are coming at us in a place called Hollywood. Yeah. And what I'm hearing you say is we are forced to change or really become like a chameleon, so to speak. We're forced to change into all of these different forms in the industry called Hollywood. And a lot of people are not clear on their identity. Absolutely. And so when you're not clear on your identity as a person first, taking care of yourself first, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, you are coming into a world or a system called Hollywood that is demanding all of these things from you constantly. And you're hearing a lot of no's, a lot of rejections. People are leading with their ego instead of their heart, and people get lost in that world.
But let me interject there, because it almost comes across as we're prepared and we're whole, mm-hmm, before entering, and that's, mm-hmm, not the case. Yeah. You got to remember, a lot of us starting in this during our adolescence years. Yes. So you're creating a character while still in development of self. Yes. So now there's a simultaneous like thing. Think about the anchors. When we talk about Hollywood, in my mind, I know there's Hollywood, California, but Hollywood is a mindset. It's a world that we created. Social media kind of revealed that it's no longer just this location in this city that's so corrupt. It's the mindset. Hollywood has the opportunity to change culture. We've seen it shift energy. We've seen the shifts that it takes. So if you're a person that now is responsible for leading culture, leading the people, yet you haven't had an opportunity to go through any development to understand what that responsibility was. Because see, right now, what we're very interested in is, where do you eat? We want to know everything. Everybody feel like they have the right to sign off about stuff because social media normalized it. You're in everyone's business because it's out there. So what ends up happening is you haven't been developed. You have a lot of eyes. You have a lot of people telling you, other people that haven't been developed, and telling you this is what it looks like to be that. This is what success is supposed to be. This is how we define success. So you start acquiescing to it, right? The anchors that we usually have back at home in the safety net, we abandon that when we go to find this career place, right? So now we find ourselves without our emotional refueling, Then a lot of us get here and start getting challenged. When I say get here, we start getting challenged about where our spiritual values started from. So then we begin to question that. We have questions where faith didn't allow for questions before. So now you have a spiritual shifting. You have an emotional foundation. You don't have the friends and family. You're trying to find that with people that don't understand the true point and process of networking. You're in a world right now that you don't have what you have in other industries, which is a boss, which is a guideline, which are rules, which are clear rewards for what you get, in return of what you're putting out. We're a business that's outside of it. It's not just the industry. It's the actual business, and we don't find the business, so we lose ourselves in the passion.
Oh, man, Deep, you are hitting on some major points that, because you're talking about how people get drowned in this system called Hollywood, or this industry, which is a mindset. But under the current of what you're talking about is really people who don't have a spiritual foundation.
You don't have it.
And if you're not standing on a spiritual foundation, you have nothing to help you waver the current. Nothing,
Where's the values coming from?
Exactly. So I think as a principle, because I do coach people in the industry a lot, I think as a principle, spiritually, if you want to come into a system or a pillar of society called Hollywood, you must first have a spiritual foundation.
Yes.
First, and then I believe that secondly, you must know the purpose as to why you were sent to this system called Hollywood. Because
go
for
into
me,
all the world.
Yeah, because I really believe that you're not just an actor or an artist or a creator. It's a calling.
Exactly.
And if it's not a calling, you're not gonna survive this world called Hollywood, because like you just said, this is the only system that you don't have a reward system. You don't have you don't officially have a boss or a 9-to-5 or a 401k system. This is not a setup
You can't report to HR.
No. And I think that what we're talking about, I love that we're making these points right now, because these are the foundational building blocks of a true artist, of how you sustain yourself first and your career for longevity. As we move further into this subject, how has your spiritual foundation sustained you in your dark times maneuvering this entertainment world?
Well, and it sounds very, very cliche, but faith, as simple as it is, there was a time that I took a shift. I grew up, I'm a preacher's kid. I grew up under this gospel giant world. And when I had a son at the age of 20, and when I left and wanted to start singing about some different things, I was considered the prodigal son. Okay. And so I left and went to venture into the world of secular music. And I was challenged on everything that I believed, except for the core values. And so I praised God. I was like, God, man, blow up everything. You can blow up everything that I know, everything that I've built my faith upon, everything. Because I realized I didn't ever have a choice. Truth be told, I didn't choose God.
Got it.
I didn't choose faith. That was what it was. You're going to church, you're going to believe, you're going to sing, you're going to pray. This is what we. And so it's very interesting when you have that rebirth and you get to choose God on purpose, right?
Yeah.
Because this time in choosing God, I chose God without the minutia, without the sticky things that kind of come along with some of the politics of church,
Yeah.
with some of the restrictions that we have placed on God, with some of the restrictions that we placed on God's commandments, right? And so it allowed me to rebuild a relationship
Yes.
because I wanted to.
Got it.
And I could see the actual rewards of it, right?
Got it.
So there was a direct correlation between those moments that I would do something that was specifically for God, and how God would still reward me in this secular world with something that the rest of the world would say, oh, that's dope. You on this screen, you on this, you singing with this person, you know. But I understood that it was those moments that I was truly, truly honest with my purpose,
Okay.
and then my alignment,
Yeah.
and not even realizing that if I do this, how is this going to make sense? How is this going to work? There was just this correlation that's where faith enters.
Yeah.
And I didn't know when faith was supposed to enter, because ever since I could remember, as long as you had it the size of a mustard seed, that was enough. And surely
Yeah.
I have that much faith, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that I was really trying God in the space of activating my faith on purpose.
Wow.
So the more I would lean in, boom, this major thing would happen. I would get blessed. And I will have to do this because that was my go ye into all the world.
So it sounds like to me that your spiritual foundation, your faith, and your relationship with God is not only what kept you, but it's still what sustains you and what guides your decision making, your day-to-day operation, and what this world is, what we call the entertainment world.
Absolutely.
It still is.
I check into God and I check into myself daily before I check into the world.
Awesome. So tell me this. Can you tell me some of the dark times that you've had? How dark did it get? Just give me a few of how dark it's gotten in your mental health as it relates to this business called the entertainment industry.
Oh, I had my first anxiety attack about a month ago, I guess. I went to Mexico to get away from LA. It's a lot. I'm charged as a creative to really connect with what's going on and to be tapped in. The more I prayed for creativity, the more emotional I got.
Yeah.
So creative means, and that emotional tie is very, very, really, really serious. The deeper you go in your crafting, the more emotionally available you are. And I needed to get out of here. So I went to Mexico, and there was a charge for me to start creating the audio book, and I just could never get started. Any domestic city, Houston, Chicago, I just couldn't get started, right? Get to Mexico and I'm doing it. And I didn't realize that the time that I got to Mexico was the anniversary of my Oma, her death, her birthday, Mother's Day, which then brought in my other grandmother. It all hit me at the same time. And I immediately started thinking about, are you still relevant? All the things that you've done, because in your culture, we have the propensity to throw our people out. You've done this to get it. Oh, you were hot in 97. Well, that's it. Where are they now? We tend to do that. And so there becomes an anxiety there. And I had never really thought about that, because God has sustained me to, even when I needed healing, to hide me in plain sight.
Wow.
So my hiding moments were very, very visible. I was behind some major, major artists, and they had me picture boxed, right? So I had become afraid to do it on my own. Didn't realize it. Like muscle memory, I jumped back in. Oh, the book is out. Okay, let me go to court the audio. Oh, I'm recording this Edibles in the Elevation project. Oh, let's talk about the, hoods off in boxes, right?
Yep.
And while that was going on, and I found myself getting closer to the finish line of the creation phase, and I realized what day it was, I broke. I was rendered. I had never had anybody explain to me that anxiety attack, but I felt tightness in my chest. I felt like my walls were shrinking in. My breathing became very, very struggled. As a singer, I am very specialized in diaphragmatic breathing, and I could not get it together, the breathing, and that caused more anxiety. I was in a strange time. I was in Mexico. I didn't know anybody. So I was alone. My mom is in a happy season, and it was Mother's Day.
Yep.
So I couldn't call my mama because I didn't want to mess up her Mother's Day. but I was having a time. And so much so that I stripped my clothes off and balled up in a tight ball on the bed. And hyperventilating. And it took all that I could muster up to get to my phone, and I called a really, really good friend, Newsy. I called her, and when she said, hello, she just heard me hyperventilating. And she said, let me in. I said, I'm not good. Yeah. And we sat 10 minutes easy of just me. And she was saying, breathe. You're safe, breathe. Yeah. I was the first time I'd ever felt like I couldn't get it together. Okay. And then I said, okay. I start breathing. I called her back. I said, I'll call you back. We had a little conversation. I'll call you back. And I just laid there. And I just started praying. I was like, okay, God, what's up? Yeah. I know you was guiding me here. Am I too old? Do they still want me? You're about to get ready to go talk to 400 black high school graduates in a week and a half, and you are balled up in the... Am I worthy? Am I supposed to be encouraging the next generation? Am I supposed to be impacting the generation before? This is a lot of pressure. Actually, okay, this is too much. That was my conversation.
I think it's beautiful. Man, thank you so much for the transparency and the vulnerability and sharing that, because what I'm feeling coming from you, and I know there's so many artists out there and just creators out there who may have encountered this or just struggle with, mental health issues, anxiety, depression, self-harm. And when I think about that, I'm feeling that, I'm also hearing that you can't make it through this without God. You can't make it through this without a spiritual practice or a foundation.
Finances wasn't an issue.
You can't.
Provision wasn't an issue. I'm in the most beautiful spot in Mexico with all the things, and none of that mattered.
When we talk about intense subjects like this, that when a person like an artist or a creator, you're to the point of anxiety and depression, and you don't have anywhere else to turn. And there's thousands of artists here in Hollywood that don't have a spiritual foundation to stand on. What can we, I'm sitting here just letting this go through my soul right now, because I feel the hurt and the pain that's out here to this degree, and how so many of us don't survive it, and how many actors and artists end up on drugs or overdosing, or we've heard so many of our iconic artists, overdose or end up on drugs or die early. It's a trend. Unfortunately, it's a trend in this industry, and people just, swipe the social media, post, oh, rest in peace, or whatever they see, and we don't really let that sink in. And I began to ask some of my friends in the industry, I said, when are we gonna sit down and sit back and say this is not normal? Like, when are we actually gonna sit down and confront the monster and the elephant in the room in this entertainment industry and say, guys, this is not normal. It is not normal for all of our people to walk out of here, die early. It's become the norm, and we know it's not normal.
Right.
Yet we don't have a community or a support system or a spiritual foundation. We're not giving people building blocks and principles to live on to sustain themselves in this industry. I just really believe that. For a person as talented as you are to go through what you went through, thank God you had a close friend you could trust.
But that's all I'm about to say.
Yes.
When you were saying that, and it was just resonating, it's we have to learn how to connect and associate and network beyond what we can get. So what's so important about that is because I couldn't find my way to God right then.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I had to have somebody that I could be vulnerable with. I knew I wasn't going to be judged. I never thought I would ever share that publicly. But I knew that I was safe. I knew that I was okay. And she guided me right back.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so when we talk about communion and we talking about the fellowship and we talking about the things, like my church is my network. We work together, but we pray together. Like, we're on it. We got each other. Like, I could name some people right now that's the tethering of our relationship. But it's very rare because most times we're connecting sacrificing, spending time with people that we think can put us on,
Exactly.
versus doing the same thing, if not more, with people that can pull us through.
Yes, yes,
So
exactly.
I think that's the answer. How do we connect?
What would you say is your purpose? What is Deep's purpose in the entertainment industry today?
To help return unity, to help us remember that we are responsible for selecting who represents our culture. We are responsible for keeping stories and art true, to remind people that we are responsible for making sure that our art form products are authentic instead of just conforming because it's a check. I put on the artist development hat and the creative director hat because I used to be excited about the levels and the layers that art used to provide, and I feel that we've kind of gotten lateral. And so I'm wanting to do my part. I am doing my part to bring back complex creativity, to allow space for the creative to really come through and really shine. And preparing the world to receive that, because it's a tandem thing,
Yes. Yes.
So if I can build the royal court, which I need you on that.
Yes, yes.
But I'm currently building the royal court of creatives with the like mind that get it, that aren't afraid to shine, and they're also not afraid for the next person to shine as well. Reminding us that, getting back that Motown development of an artist, getting back when you were signed, when you were given a platform, there was a requirement for preparation.
Yes.
You didn't just go out there.
Yeah.
And so that component has been ripped out of the urban community. It's missing. So
I'm just so happy that we had this conversation today, because it's leaders like you and change agents like yourself who are going to be the catalyst of the next generation of artists in this industry, who are going to probably do it a little differently.
Absolutely.
And we're going to have more tools and more equipping because of people like ourselves.
Absolutely.
Who are not going to be ashamed or afraid to challenge the norms of this entertainment world. And we're going to build community together. And it's people like you is going to be a part of that. So I appreciate it.
I appreciate it, man.
Guys, if you like this video, click like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We'll see you next time on Champion of Your Soul. Stay tuned with us.